If someone walked up to you and said, "Hey, that tiny server company that barely hit $1 billion in revenue 5 years ago, they're now selling the hardware that runs AI for the biggest names in tech, and they might just become the next Nvidia for compute infrastructure," you'd probably laugh, right? But hear me out. This might be one of the most underappreciated setups in the entire AI boom. And the wild part? I'm not talking about just one stock. I've got 3 companies you probably haven't heard enough about. They're quietly powering the backbone of AI, and if you're willing to look where others aren't, they could offer some serious upside. Just listen. This isn't financial advice. Do your own research. But stick around to the end and you'll understand why, even after Nvidia tripled, we're still early. 1. Supermicrocomputer, ticker SMCI. First up, Supermicrocomputer, ticker SMCI. Back in 2020, this was just a $1 billion company. Today, over $40 billion and climbing. And yet, most people still have no idea what they actually do. Why? Because everyone's laser focused on chips, Nvidia, AMD, etc. But Supermicro is the one building and delivering the actual machines that run those chips. Their servers are what power ChatGPT requests, AI model training, real-time vector databases. They're like the guys selling pickaxes during the gold rush. Here's what's wild. 47% revenue growth, compound annual growth over the last 3 years. Operating margins are climbing. EPS is up 35%. Forecasting $15 billion in revenue by 2026. This company is doing what Dell used to do, but for the AI age. You think Meta's Llama 3 is running on fairy dust? No. It's running on Supermicro racks, tuned for Nvidia and AMD GPUs and shipped fast. And they're not just fast, they're profitable, capital efficient, and vertically integrated. They build everything in the United States, not overseas. That means more trust, more speed, more customization. That's why Nvidia picked them. That's why Meta, Microsoft, and Tesla are customers. 2. Arista Networks, ticker ANET. Next up, we've got a quiet powerhouse, Arista Networks, ticker ANET. If you like companies with clean balance sheet, high margin, and mission critical products, then Arista is your kind of company. Everyone's hyped about GPUs, but they forget that those GPUs need to communicate. They need to be networked together. That's where Arista comes in. They provide the high-speed Ethernet switches that connect tens of thousands of GPUs inside AI training clusters. Want to train GPT-5 or some trillion parameter model? You need to move massive amounts of data between chips, fast and reliably. That's Arista's job. While Cisco is still stuck in the past, Arista is shipping 800 gig switches to Microsoft and Meta today. Here's their financials. 80% gross margin, 36% operating margin, 0 debt, over $3 billion in cash, and what's even more important, AI networks are fundamentally different from cloud networks. They need lower latency, more bandwidth, and more precise timing. Arista has both the hardware and the software to meet those needs. Wall Street still pricing it like a boring networking company. They don't get it yet. Right now, it's a $100 billion company. But with the demand we are seeing from AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud scaling up AI, there's room to double. Arista is laying the plumbing for AI, and the market hasn't caught up. 3. Camtek, ticker CAMT. Now here's the wild card, Camtek, ticker CAMT. Based in Israel. Market cap Around $3.5 billion. What do? They make inspection systems for chip manufacturing. Yeah, sounds boring. Until you realize this. AI chips like Nvidia's H100 need 10 to 20 times more precise inspection than older chips. And Camtek dominates that niche. Why does this matter? Because as AI ramps up, it's not just about designing new chips. It's about producing them with perfect accuracy, at scale. That's where Camtek comes in. Foundries like TSMC, Samsung, and Intel are spending billions to improve chip quality. And Camtek's inspection systems are critical to that process. Here's what's impressive. Revenue growing at 40%. Margins are expanding. Guidance is rising. And they've got zero debt. Even if AI growth slows down. Camtek still has demand from traditional chip manufacturing. They generate consistent free cash flow and serve an essential role in the semiconductor ecosystem. They've got limited downside and massive upside. That's what we look for. Think of Camtek like ASML before everyone knew what lithography was. That's the kind of setup we're looking at here. The bigger picture. Let's zoom out. This isn't just about AI anymore. It's not about which chatbot is flashiest or what company is building the next GPT. We're talking about AI as a utility. Just like electricity in the 1900s. Just like internet in the 2000s. And when infrastructure becomes the bottleneck, the companies that solve those bottlenecks are the ones that win. To run LLMs like GPT-5 or Claude 3, here's what you need. Tens of thousands of GPUs, ultra-low latency networking, custom-built servers, inspections down to the nanometer. Each AI data center costs over $1 billion to build. And we're going to need hundreds of them in the next few years. Who gets paid every time one comes online? Supermicro, the servers, Arista, the networking gear, Camtek, the chip inspection. Even if Nvidia takes a short-term dip, that doesn't change the infrastructure demand. And that is where the real edge lies. Not the flash. Not the hype. But the critical systems that make everything else work. Final takeaway. Look, AI is not optional anymore. We're not in 2018. We're in 2025. And if companies aren't building AI into their systems, their competitors are. It's already happening. From JP Morgan to Tesla, companies are spending billions, not for show, but because it's necessary. And behind all that spending is infrastructure. So if you missed Nvidia at $150, if you watched Supermicro go from $90 to over $1,200 and thought, damn, I missed it, let me say this. It's not over. The game just changed. It's no longer about who builds the flashiest AI model. It's about who enables everyone else to scale theirs. And that's where Supermicro, Arista, and Camtek come in. Are there risks? Sure. Could the market pull back? Of course. But this isn't about short-term noise. This is about building positions in high-quality, overlooked compounders before Wall Street fully catches on. Do your homework. Build your thesis. Stay disciplined. The real money gets made by people who think ahead, not by chasing the hype, but by spotting the infrastructure behind the revolution. You've got the names now. You've got the numbers. You see the gap. Now it's on you. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.